So as you look at this Universal Design project for 2020, I want to just be sure that you are understanding what's expected of you and why looking at this assignment in conjunction with your actual Universal Design worksheet assignment would be a really good idea. The lesson builder, which is what this is called, a lesson builder, is intended to be a guide for you to complete your assignment. So tying these two in is really important. Otherwise, I suspect questions will come up and students, well, this guide's intended to minimize those questions, right? So as you see throughout the lesson builder, I have different little Quizlets, which are just kind of to help you stay engaged in the reading, which I know can be somewhat dry, but I really want you to embrace this assignment because it is so important that the concepts of universal design are modeled by you as physical therapist assistants. Whether you're teaching a family member or a patient, caregivers, doing an in-service to staff, that you really model this. And I'll just give you an example. When I was at Oregon Health Sciences University, I did a in-service on universal design as part of my graduate school project. It was held in an auditorium, and I presented in front. There was about 20 people that came, primarily professors from the various schools and managers that worked at OHSU in the hospital or in the university itself as far as the academic setting. And what was so nice about it was held in an auditorium that had great speakers that were placed throughout the auditorium that everyone can hear. There was actually speakers where participants could actually listen in by adjusting the volume that were right in front of them. There were chairs that were adjustable, up, down, back, forth, very comfortable, almost like Stadium Primo movie theater seating, really, or like those wonderful, places where Phil Knight sits during Duck games, and VIP seating, really. And easily accessible, meaning that there were appropriately sized ramps as far as the rise and run for participants to participate in wheelchairs. There were places where people could participate without having to navigate chairs to get in. In other words, transfer to a chair. Someone in a wheelchair could, there were cutouts, right, within rows, so someone in a wheelchair could very easily navigate with a wheelchair to participate and use the same features of the sound system. And actually, there's places where you can plug in a headset so participants could hear me in multiple ways. It was positioned in such that, it was like a semicircle. I don't know if you've seen some of these, some of these designs in architecture that I really liked. You see them in churches and houses of worship now. That it's not just these straight lines and the pastor or minister or rabbi, imam, is presenting in these rows, but actually the construction of these buildings now is semicircular, or in some cases circular, so people from all sides can see, access, and view the speaker the same way. So that's why this is important. How do you model that? So let's just get back to what I originally want to do, which is to sync this with your assignment. So you'll see throughout as we go through this, there's these little reminders. Complete question 1 on universal design. Excuse me, worksheet. Sorry about that cough. That sounded awful. So here we go, right? So here's the rubric. So here is 1, right? Consider the facility which apply the concept of universal design, description of the area, condition, audience. Who is your primary audience? So what you're going to do is you're going to look at, and this is where people have done really well in the past. They've looked at apartments and applied the concept of universal design where the apartment building or their own apartment passes the test or doesn't pass the test. They've looked at community parks. every community has a park of some sort, regardless of what town you're in. So I think that's a really good place. Another places people have used have been libraries, public libraries. Certainly you can take on the library at Lane Community College, or rooms where students gather at the Table Rock campus to assess and see what can be approved. Locally, students here in Eugene have gone up to some of the various um, parks that are assessed by the public, that are state parks, city parks, recreational areas, and the same has been done in Klamath Falls. A student assessed, a park area close to Skyline Medical Center there in Klamath Falls. So it's really up to you. If you're really hesitant and not sure, certainly you can ask me, but I'm probably going to say yes in terms of what you're looking at, in terms of assessing whether universal design is something that can be applied, and it can be applied really to any building or specific meeting area. So site selection, universal design principles, that you suggest some changes for each principle, and that is for each principle, not skipping some, for each principle, which are, you have 7 total. And then prioritize changes reflecting thoughtful implementation. These are, greatest impact of accessibility to the facility. So if you recognize the problems, right, your suggestions for changes, then here you're going to synthesize the greatest impact in assessing the facility. And then ICF knowledge. So you learned the ICF model on fall term, and this is using specific examples of applying the ICF model, such as looking at, particularly access, participation, right? Environment, what types of environmental factors may be present, but particularly participation. How can people participate and how can they not participate? So using that ICF framework language is really important. It's worth 5 points. And then this kind of walks you through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the universal design principles. There's 7 of them. Then you have some other supplemental questions as well. So use that guide as you go along. And the last thing I'll say is just to remind you when things are due. So this assignment is not due week 3. So you have your overview here. Your resources, of course, are here for universal design. You got some readings and Pearson to help you. And then your worksheet that I just popped up for you. And then there's some videos here that were put together. And then, so you really have, I think, a lot of good guidance on this assignment. And then the final thing is, when are things due? And you can see that this assignment is not due until week 4. It's not due until week 4 at the end of the week. February 1st, believe it or not, at 10 o'clock. So know when this is due. I certainly encourage you to start on this week 3. I think that's wonderful to do that. But know that it's not due until week 4.